本日は ispace 民間月面探査プログラム HAKUTO-R ミッション1
Thank you very much for joining us today for the live coverage of the launch of the ispace private lunar exploration program, HAKUTO-R Mission 1. I am Kevin Zaleski from ispace. This webcast is composed of two parts. In the first part, as you watch the live launch feed from SpaceX, we will provide commentary and coverage of the launch process. The second part will continue with SpaceX live coverage of the launch, showing you from the lander separation from the rocket. Please wait for a while until we begin today's event. Thank you very much in advance for your cooperation today.
あと3分ほどだそうです。皆さんですね、向こうからの中継が、配信が始まって、本当にですね、全く無言というのもなんか全然お隣同士お話ししていただいて全然構いませんので、ただちょっとね、他の方にご迷惑になるような大声でとか規制を上げするってことはなしにしていただいて、普通に会話して、わあ、間もなくだねっていう、それ全然問題なく、なんかシーンとしてるのもどうかなと思いますんで、今日ちなみに結構遠くからこのためにここ来たよって方います？東京から、どっから来たの？京都からこのために拍手。すごい。なんとか見届けようと。
Now that the scheduled start time has arrived, we will begin the live launch report of Mission 1 of the private lunar exploration program, HAKUTO-R. I am Kevin Zaleski, and I will be your host today. Today's event, thank you very much for those of you who have been looking forward to today's event. Today's program will consist of two parts. In the first part, we will welcome special guests to discuss the plans and challenges of Mission 1, including ispace engineers, while we watch the launch. In the second part, after the launch, we will deliver an English-speaking session with the ispace engineers, explaining the separation of the lander from the rocket and the mission. The first part is scheduled to end around 5:15 p.m. First of all, we would like to hear from Mr. Takeshi Hakamada, CEO of ispace. Mr. Hakamada is currently near the launch pad in Florida, USA, so please watch his greeting recorded in advance.
Welcome everyone, the day has finally come. We have envisioned the development of the lander since 2016 and have been able to complete its development in such a short period of time, about 5 years. I am very excited and very proud of the team that made it possible to overcome all the challenges and launch HAKUTO-R Mission 1 on the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket from Cape Canaveral, Florida. It is very easy to say, but there were many obstacles to get to this point that could never have been overcome with a paper plan alone. We ispace raised a lot of money and cleared a lot of technical development issues and accommodated many changes, and we faced organizational challenges as well. Most recently, we faced supply chain difficulties due to the pandemic, but we overcame challenges. We were determined to never give up. And we always moved forward and we overcome the obstacles We are the one who is a pioneer of the world's first learner transportation business, and we will take on 3 missions by 2025. Today is our first one. We will take mission 1 to the moon, and we will reflect our first outcome to the second and third missions. Our purpose is to enhance the learner landing technologies, transportation, and the data services to the highest standard. Contribution to the success of NASA's manned lunar exploration Artemis project, Japan is also participating to provide cargo transportation information as one of our goals, and also to become a pioneer of the 5-year startup development plan, which will bring strong industry to Japan in the future. Opening the path of space with the private funded capitals means opening the future for you and for everyone for Japan. Connecting Earth with space means connecting the world with unrevealed value to resolve the social issues across the globe. We ispace will build the foundations that transform the moon into a living space, working together with more than 200 members of all of the world. Thank you, Hakamada-san. Now, some of you may be wondering about what Hakamada just said and what he is wearing. So we made a new uniform to commemorate the launch of Mission 1. I'd like to brief you a little bit about this. As you can see, we used to wear hoodies based on the black as our uniforms, but now we have custom designed with the help of Beam's Uniform Circus. The color is designed to take over the color scheme of Team HAKUTO, the previous project of HAKUTO-R. The design emphasizes the meaning of the HAKUTO-R program and the reboot of Team HAKUTO. Engineers preparing for the launch in the Mission Control Center, located in right next to this ribbon, are also wearing the new uniforms and preparing to establish the communication with the lander. So for this streaming, I have a special guest. So we are connecting us online. We would like to welcome astronaut Naoko Yamazaki. She has been in special launch as well, and also she was involved in the project, and also after retiring from JAXA, she was in charge of all the commissions and also led the industry. Thank you, Yamazaki-san. Hello, everyone. I'm Naoko Yamazaki. This is the first in the history HAKUTO-R launch. So this is the moment of the. I am very happy today to experience the moment of the century with you all. So today I'd like to give you an explanation from the perspective of having experience being an astronaut. Thank you very much for inviting me. And also, we have the engineer from ispace, lander system manager Hitachi, and the AIT engineer Kawamoto as well. So Hitachi-san came from the electric industry, and also right now he is the system engineer in ispace. And also, he wrote the book about the related topic, and also Kawamata-san, HAKUTO Pro Bono, he was in part of HAKUTO program, and also he is AIT operation, and he's mentioned about Germany, and also he is in charge of the testing as well. Nice to meet you all.
Now, I'd like to connect you to a location that is very close to the launch site. Right now, we have some ispace members and other affiliates about 20 kilometers from where our lander will be launched. Akimoto-san, can you hear me?
はい、フロリダにおります秋元です。
Yes,
こ
this
ち
is
ら音
Akimoto
声聞
in
こえております
Florida,
でしょうか。
near the launch site in Florida. Can you hear me?
はい、こちら
Yes, we
です
hear
ね。
you.
車上から20キロほど離れた場所に、おりま
Is
す。
about 20
フロリダで
kilometers
すね、
away
現在、
from the
気
launch
温が
site.
19度で、天候
The
はかな
temperature
り良好で
here
す。
is
月もです
about
ね、くっき
19
り見え
degrees
ております。
and the
ちょっと
weather is very
こちら
nice,
のカメ
sky
ラ
is
では捉えら
clear.
れないんですけれ
We
ども。
can see
であ
the
とは
moon very
日
clearly.
本の皆様からですね、お預かりをしてきまし
And
た、
also
寄せ書きをいただいた応援旗というのをこちら
The
にお持
flags
ち
of
しておりま
support
す。
entrusted
こ
to
の
us
応
by
援
our
旗ですね、
partners and supporters at the
パート
press
ナー企業様
conference
からいただいたものも、こ
are
ういう
now
形でずら
here
っ
with
と、
us.
掲示をして、
And
こ
also
ういう形ですね、
the
皆さんの、
messages
思いをですね、
from
と
our
一緒に
partners,
この
partner
打ち上げを見
companies
守ってい
are
きたい
all
と思
here
います。
surrounding us, watching the
フロリダ
launch
からは以
with
上で
us.
す。
That's it from Florida.
さんありがとうございます。
Thank you, Mr. Akimoto.
では次に今回の打ち上げ中
Now, this launch broadcast is viewed live both privately and publicly at other venues. So let us connect each of these sites. Let's start with our venue in Nihonbashi. Here we have affiliates of ispace, partners, and the supporters club members.
ハロー。こちらは日本の東京日本橋ライブビューイング会
We
場
are
です。今ご
in the
紹介いた
live
だきました通
viewing
り、この
venue in
ハクト R の打
Nihonbashi,
ち上げをです
Tokyo.
ね、一目見ようと、今日は
Everyone
アイスペースの
has
社員、
gathered
スタッフ、そ
together
して関係者
to
ご家
watch
族、
the launch
さらにはサ
together.
ポーターズクラブ、そしてご協
All
賛
the
者の皆さん、
families and
130名
supporter
の方に
club
集まっていただいてい
members.
ます。
We
皆さ
have
ん、
about
今日この瞬
130
間を楽しみにして
people
きました
here.
よね。
Are you excited for the launch?
いや、かなり盛り上がってるんです。いろんな方にお話を伺いました。実はですね、昔このプロジェクトに
And I
携
have
わっていたと
interviewed
いう
many
方、そして
people.
ご家族の方
Some
はね、
people
パパのお
said
仕事
they
に誇りを持
were
っているという方
engaged
もいま
and
したので、
involved in this
ぜひこち
project
らからもです
before,
ね、フロ
and
リダの
some
方にパ
said
ワー
their
を全開
husband
で送っ
works
て、
for
このミッション
ispace.
成功に
So
我
we
々
are
も
all
少しでも
here
サポー
together
トできるように頑張って
to
いきたいと思います。
support the
皆さん、
launch.
今日は信じて、またね、
We
16時
believe
38分楽しみにしていき
in
ま
the
しょう。盛り上がっていき
capability
ましょ
of
う。以
ispace,
上で
and
す。
we'll be so looking forward to the launch.
あんまり
Thank you.
あんまり盛り上がってますね。
I see you're all excited. Thank you very much, everyone, and the Nihonbashi venue. Now from the Fukuoka City Science Museum, which is located in Fukuoka Prefecture and used as our public viewing venue today. Let's take a look at this venue now.
はい、こんにちは。福
Hello,
岡市科学館です。
We
は
are
い、
at the
今
Fukuoka
盛り上がっ
City
てます。
Science Museum. We're all
子供た
excited.
ちに、夢を、
We
ハク
have
ト R の活
children
躍を
over
楽しみ
here
にしています。
who are looking forward
はい、皆さん
to
どうで
watch
すか？
all the activities that HAKUTO-R will take on from now on.
こちらは以上です。
That's all from us. Thank you very much. Now, for those of you who are new to us, I'd like to give you an overview of ispace HAKUTO-R program Mission 1. We'd like to have Mr. Hitachi explain it. Thank you, Mr. Hitachi. Hello, everyone. This is Hitachi. I'd like to explain the overview of the launch of HAKUTO-R Mission 1. As you can see, we have 7 payloads for Mission 1 mounted on our own lander, which will be launched by Falcon 9 by SpaceX. With regards to these payloads, we're going to delve deeper into a little later when we have more time. So when the lander will be launched near the orbit, it will be controlled from this Mission Control Center here in Nihonbashi. And in Mission 1, we're going to use low energy transfer orbit to aim for the moon. So it'll take about 5 months to journey through the space. So 2 months after the launch, it will go past the lunar orbit, and it'll go as far as 1.5 million kilometers away from the Earth. So it'll be about 45 times the distance to the moon from the Earth. So that's quite far. And 4 months after the launch, it'll be inserted into the lunar orbit and then lunar landing is happening. And Mission 1 has 10 milestones from the launch until the landing. And we have success criteria established for each of them. At each stage, we will verify the technology, and we are going to feedback our knowledge accumulated from this activity onto our following missions. If we have time later, I'm going to explain more deeply about this. That's it from me. Thank you, Mr. Futachi.
In order to bring customer payloads to the moon and lunar orbit, ispace participated in the Google.
Now it's time for us to watch the live launch coverage with you all. Ms. Naoko Yamazaki, the time has come for us. ispace lander that which you have supported since the days of HAKUTO. How do you feel now? I feel very impressed and moved. I have been supporting it from the Lunar X Prize times, and I know that lots of you have put in so much effort into this activity, and I'm so proud of all of your work. Thank you very much. I know you have experienced various launches in the past, but do you have any memories or impressions about the launch day? Well, at the launch time, we saw the flags earlier, but many supporters signed on the flags, and we also held those things to support the launch. So I experienced that myself directly. It brought back such a memory to me. Yes, all the supportive messages were received from many supporters, and the enthusiasm was felt at the launch site as well. It looks like SpaceX's preparation is going on. It's about 12 minutes until the launch time. So SpaceX will run the video, 4-minute video, introducing us, ispace. And this video will have subtitles, so please enjoy it.
Today, we're opening up new horizons. ispace's vision is to expand human activity beyond Earth and to create a future cislunar economy. We envision a future where thousands of people visit, live, and work on the moon, contributing to the progress of all humankind. As the first step, we developed our own lunar lander technology, the Series 1 lunar lander. Combining flight-proven technologies and in-house development, ispace is offering frequent and reliable payload transportation to lunar orbit and surface, as well as data services to support and accelerate technological demonstrations, science projects, and our customers' next-generation businesses. Among the milestones of our first mission are a successful launch and establishing a communications link with our ground control, followed by a series of maneuvers during the lander's journey to the moon. Our mission success criteria are focused on lunar landing, each of which will verify our individual lander technologies and accumulate value in our knowledge base. After launch, the lander's operations are controlled from our Mission Control Center in Tokyo. The lander will use its thrusters, controlled by Draper's landing software, leveraging experience from the Apollo program to perform a controlled descent and landing on the lunar surface. After safely arriving on the Moon, the lander will start the deployment and operations of its payloads, as well as establish a stronger communication link for the transmission of data and telemetry. The planned mission duration will last approximately 10 days. Among others, ispace aims to collect lunar regolith and to transfer ownership of this lunar resource to NASA, jump-starting space resource utilization. Our first 2 missions will verify our design and technology, and the experience and data from those missions will contribute to the design of the Series 2 lander, which we will provide to the NASA CLIPS program as part of our Mission 3 in 2025, as a member of Team Draper. Our international team consists of members from over 25 countries and has been working tirelessly to get ready for this day. By applying space-proven components for critical systems such as propulsion and avionics, and utilizing in-house developed parts for other systems, we are able to develop and integrate our lander faster and more efficiently. On this first mission, we are carrying the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center Rashid rover from Dubai, the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency's transformable lunar robot, multiple payloads within the Canadian Space Agency's LEAP program, and an experimental solid-state battery by NGK spark plug to the lunar surface.
iSpace continues to overcome new and unique challenges every day, but we are committed to make our vision a reality. The objective of our first mission is to verify our lander technology and design. The work for our subsequent missions has already begun, and the experience from our first mission will enable us to improve our lander design further and overcome obstacles during our second mission in 2024 and third mission in 2025 at an even higher level of competency. This first mission will further validate and strengthen our business, providing reliable lunar transportation and lunar data services. This is the dawn of the lunar economy. Join us in this new chapter of humanity. Let's go to the moon.
So how was the video? And also Yamazaki-san, and watching your video, what did you think? So such large number of payloads is mounted. It's very impressive. In any ways, it's very interested, and also especially with the solid battery, and also this is the energy source when they do the activities on the moon. So this is actually the first in the history. So I'd like to expect a lot of things. Thank you very much. And by the way, Kawamoto-san, so you actually did the work in Florida, and when you mount the lander on the rocket, so how was the experience? So from Kawamoto, I'd like to explain that. So the rocket and the lander was connected at the interface. The PLA is Payload Launch Adapter, and the rocket and PAF, Payload Adapter failing. So these are the connected together, and also the PLA has the PLA, the lander, and this is the separation point. So that's going to be connected, and the crowd band. So that is something that it's in the very old Japanese story. So I think it's easier for you to image, but so you can go through that, and then the lander and the rocket will be fixed together. And then once it's in the orbit, then it's going to be separated. Okay, thank you very much, Kawamoto-san. And you mentioned about the fairing. So the fairing, what is fairing? So the fairing, it means the rocket when you take a look at the rocket, I think you would notice, here's the photo. So around the lander, so we have two walls between this. These are the fairings. So to be specific, the lander, the vibrations and also audio, and also there's in order for them to protect from the heat as well. So the lander will be protected, and also that is going to be in the space, and then that is going to be open. How I can image that? So like a Peach Boy, I think if you can imagine the Peach Boy's peach, then I think it's easier. Like I think this is something that it's funny, but thank you very much. And continuously, so we would like to watch the streaming of the SpaceX. So once we get closer, then we'd like to start the commentary as well.
Form of kerosene known as RP1 or rocket propellant 1. Now to burn the fuel, we need an oxidizer. Falcon 9's oxidizer is super chilled liquid oxygen, or what we call densified LOX. It's chilled well below its boiling point, which increases its density and allows us to load more into the first and second stage LOX tanks. Currently, fuel loading is complete on the second stage, while loading continues on the first stage until T-minus 6 minutes. Liquid oxygen is loading onto both first and second stages right now. Now we also need an igniter to start burning the fuel and oxidizer.
Tanks are pressurizing for strong back retract.
Just pausing for those comms. We also need an igniter to start burning the fuel and oxidizer, and for that we use the chemical TTEB, or triethyl aluminum and triethyl borane. It produces a characteristic green flash that we can sometimes see at the bottom of the vehicle. Once our Merlin engines ignite, they'll begin throwing the combustion exhaust out of the engine nozzles at the base of the rocket, resulting in a push on the vehicle in the opposite direction. This is a great example.
Retract has started.
This is a great example of Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. As for weather, we are still currently green, and the range is ready to support liftoff in just about 4 minutes from now at 2:38 a.m. Eastern Time. And you can see on your screen just below the fairing, the clamp arms have begun opening. Once these are fully opened, then the TE, or the transporter erector, will begin to retract away from the vehicle. Now at T-minus 0, ground hydraulic systems will pull the TE even further away from Falcon 9 as it lifts off. And there, again, you can see on your screen, looks like the clamp arms are now fully open. That TE should begin to retract away from the vehicle. Now, at this point in the countdown, both the first and second stages are nearly fully loaded with 1 million pounds of kerosene fuel and liquid oxygen. Both first stage and second stage should finish loading propellant about a minute apart from each other. First stage will wrap up at T-minus 3 minutes, and second stage at T-minus 2 minutes.
Stage 1 LOX load complete.
Great timing. There's that call out. That LOX load is now complete on the first stage.
Stage 1 pogo.
Now, those white clouds that you see around Falcon 9 are created when propellant oxidizer, or that super chilled liquid oxygen, comes in contact with the warm, humid weather in Florida. At T-minus 60 seconds, Falcon 9 will be in startup. This means that the rocket's autonomous internal flight computers have taken over the launch countdown. And just inside T-minus 2 seconds is when we light the Merlin 1D engines for liftoff. The ispace Mission 1 payload continues to be healthy, and the Falcon 9 team is tracking no issues on the vehicle. If for some reason we do not launch today, we do have a backup opportunity tomorrow around the same time. Now again, weather is still looking good for T0, and the range is still green for launch. So with that, we're proceeding into the last couple of minutes of the terminal count. Again, liquid oxygen loading should complete around T-minus 2 minutes.
Stage 2 LOX load is complete.
Great news. liquid oxygen loading completing on the second stage concludes propellant loading of Falcon 9. And
ground gas closeouts has started.
I mentioned that transporter rector earlier. There is a liquid oxygen line that we are now venting out, and that's why you see more of those white clouds around the vehicle. And at T-1 minute is when Falcon 9 will go into startup and the internal flight computers will take over the launch countdown.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
So it's 1 minute till the launch. So from here on, we'd like to be quiet and watch them. So right now, they are ready. And also, before 10 seconds before, then please do your countdown call with us together.
Go for launch.
Great news. All systems are go for launch of Falcon 9 with ispace Mission 1.
T-minus 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 10.
So it's 10 minutes, 10 seconds before, so let's do the countdown.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition, liftoff.
Vehicles pitching downrange.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from
the
pad 40
program
at Cape
HAKUTO-R
Canaveral Space Force
ispace Mission
Station,
1.
carrying the
So
ispace
now it's
Series
heading
1
towards
lunar
the
lander.
space. So
During set,
everyone
we
has
tilt
been
the
making a lot of
engines, which we
effort,
call gimbaling, that
over
turns the rocket
200
horizontally.
employees and also the family and also the partner and the customers of the payload. So it's heading towards the moon. So it's very, very beautiful scene, right? And Yamazaki-san, by seeing this, what do you think about this? So it's actually launched like a star. It's very nice launch. So it's accelerating. So I myself, I'm very touching. But Hitachi-san, Kawamoto-san, what do you think about this? It's bravo. Bravo. So I'd like to. I'm in tears.
Stage separation, stage 1 flip, SES1, and then the boost back burn.
It seems like I'm seeing off my child. And also before this lunch, I heard that this changed my life, but it never changed my life. But actually, I realized how responsible I am. So this is just the start, not the end. So for the full success, we'd like to prepare and be responsible for the success. That's a very serious comment. So to personal opinion. So in this, the public view, my daughter is actually in the public view. She has a birthday today. So it's very wonderful. This is the best present for her. So now this image, the booster stage has been separated, and HAKUTO-R Message 1 series lander is quite very good in conditions. So thank you very much, everyone.
Awesome views. Again, that was Miko stage separation, stage 1 flip. SES1, that's the MVAC engine igniting.
So next, we would like to give this microphone to the site, the actual site. So, as Kawamoto said, it's like a peach boy. The fairing itself has been separated. And at the report, we will be reporting in the final report later on, so please wait for that. So now, Akimoto-san from Florida, are you there? So, well, in this case, well, Florida is quite focused, very focused. Well, seeing this scene, very impressive, right? I never get bored with this impressive. Oh. So Akimoto-san, can you hear us? So we are connecting the audio, and Akimoto-san, can you hear us okay? Yes, thank you very much. So in the field, I'd like to know your comments. So from here, it's far from 20 kilometers far distance, and we are the rooftop from the hotel. So the people who want to see this launch, so those who are staying at this hotel, so many people are actually at the rooftop. So we actually enjoy it together. And the moment of the launch, it was actually have a lot of lights from the rocket, and also there was a great voice from everyone. And also after the 1 minute, 1 minute after the launch, so there was a great noise, and we could hear the great noise, and also that makes us very impressive as well. And also it was very exciting for us, and that was our comment. And also after this, so we will the first stage rocket is going to be coming back to us, so they are waiting for that moment. Akimoto-san, thank you very much. So Yamazaki-san, I know you've seen a lot of launches before, so what do you think about this? So every time I get really impressed. So especially with the night launch, it's very beautiful, and also everyone's feeling is going to be conveyed to the space. Thank you very much. So it's been a few years after I joined this company, and I'm very happy that I'm being here. Thank you very much. Now, from here on, so the launch, it seems like it's very good condition. So right now, so we'd like to talk about the HAKUTO-R. Hitachi-san can comment on this. So Hitachi-san, please. Okay. So the HAKUTO-R program, I'd like to explain about this HAKUTO-R program. So HAKUTO-R is we have the rover and the lander. So this is the exploring, and also we have two missions. And for the SpaceX Falcon 9, we're using that rocket, and the rocket that has been launched, Mission 1, and it's the lander Mission 1. And in 2024, we have the Mission 2, M2 mission, so that's going to be planned. And the Mission 1 is the verification of the technology and the design, and also the good affinity, and also the learner transportation service. And also, so that's the business model that we would like to verify, and also we want to enhance those business plans. And also with the outcome that we have the Mission 1 and also the know-how, and then that we would like to leverage that to the Mission 2 and Mission 3. So that
Falcon 9 has
launched.
touched down on landing zone 2. That is our
Stage 1 has landed.
recovery of an orbital class rocket, including first stage landings for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy.
As you saw it, the Falcon 9 rocket, the booster part, after launch, came back to the ground. That's what you saw. So is it normal for the booster to come back to the ground? No, it's amazing. Such a thin structure without any fluctuation coming back to the ground just straight. That's so amazing. Now, since the launch seems to be going smoothly, I would like to ask someone, Mr. Kawamoto, to explain the movements of the rocket in relation to the launch and our lander schedule going forward. Okay. The Falcon 9, developed by SpaceX, has 2 stages, stage 1 and stage 2. And stage 2 is one that's carrying our lander, that is at the top of the whole rocket. And the second stage is our lander. I think many of you know, but the first stage comes back to the Earth, which it did safely. And the second stage will go out the Earth, and the fairing will be detached. And 45 minutes after that, the second stage and lander will be separated. And in the second part of our stream, we are going to broadcast that situation. So please look forward to that. Also, in this mission, we have 7 payloads mounted on the lander. And I'd like to introduce each one. Solid-state batteries from Japan Special Ceramics, a lunar exploration rover from MBRSC, a deformable lunar robot from JAXA, an AI flight computer from MCSS that was selected as one of the LEAP by CSA, a Canadian camera system. On top of that, we also have a nameplate engraved with the names of those who supported Hakuto through crowdfunding, and a disc containing the soundtrack of the song Sorato, which was given to Hakuto in 2018 by the current leading rock band Second Action as a song of support for Hakuto. Thank you, Mr. Kawamoto. The 7th payload, I'm sure Hitachi-san was interested in it. So what did you think of that when you heard of the last payload? Yes, the CD by Second Action, I was very interested in that. I usually develop control-related software for landers, and that is my passion of life. I'm in my 40s, but still, I have a passion for life. And when a rocket was launched in the 90s, a video that recorded the proof of existence of life. We launched that. We launched a proof of living things of the Earth to the space. So something cultural like this, like music and other entertainment forms. In the past, I think the moon was depicted in the art form here on Earth. But from now on, I think it'll be a destination for us to send or disseminate our cultural situation here on Earth. And last year, I think there was a movie filmed at the International Space Station. So I think there may be a movie filming studio established there in the future. So something so cultural like this will probably be launched to the space from now on quite often. It's very interesting. Thank you very much. Ms. Yamazaki, is there anything particularly impressive among these payloads for you? Right. Solid state batteries have potential. I'm very interested in that. And also the something from the Canada government is also carried as a payload. So this activity is both collaborated by both private and public sector, and I think that's a very important point. Thank you, Ms. Yamazaki. So I'd like to now connect to other venues and invite some questions and comments. It can be for Ms. Yamazaki as well.
はい、再び日本の東京日本橋です。パブリックビューイング会場、130人のですね、この皆さんから打ち上げの瞬間、そして打ち上がった瞬間は大きな拍手、そして歓声に包まれました。皆さん、本当にね、いい瞬間見ましたね。
So you experienced great moment, right?
本当にですね、なんかこういろんな方の思いをね、皆さんがこう自分のことのように考えながらの日本のというところなんですけども、今日ここにはですね、最前列でも食い入るように見てくれていました浦田瑛斗君が来てますので、ちょっとお話聞いてみたいと思います。打ち上がった瞬間はどんな思いでしたか？
I was very happy to see that.
そうです。実はですね、今日ここご家族のお席ということで、この ispace の勤めるお父さん、そしてお父さんの仕事ぶりをですね、なかなか見る機会がなかったということなんですが、どうですか、お父さんの会社の月面に探査機が飛んでいきましたけども、お父さんすごい仕事してるね。
So your father is actually doing great work, right? Yes, I believe so. And also the father is here as well.
多くの方の思いが今ね、集結されて、次に打ち上がった瞬間はどんな思いでしたか？
are consolidated and launched. So what do you think? So yes, my generation and also my children's generations. So it's actually taken over to the next generation. So I'm very impressed. Of course, the achievements of the company and also the efforts. And also we have a lot of support from the stakeholders, right? So do you have any things to say to the? Of course. Those who sponsored the HAKUTO-R sponsored and companies and also everyone's effort and encouragement. I'm very happy to see that. So we have a continuous mission. So thank you very much for your continuous support as well.
エイト君、これもう将来宇宙に自分で行くしかないんじゃない？
You need to go to the space by yourself. So I want to become. Yeah, you're not astronauts.
でもね、本当にね、いろんな夢が集まったね、ロケットが今打ち上がっていきましたので、皆さん長旅5ヶ月ぐらい経つのかな。これからですね、見守っていきたいと思います。以上、日本橋からでした。
So that's all from 日本橋 venue. Thank you. So Nihonbashi venue, thank you very much. Next, so for this launch, I think those who see, I'd like to continue with an overview of the HAKUTO-R program and ispace, the company that is developing the lunar lander, which is about to be launched today. For those who are new to us, so I'd like to talk about ispace. We are a space startup company working on the lunar resource development under the vision of expand our planet, expand our future, operating from 3 locations, Japan, Luxembourg, and the US. And currently we have employed over 200, and also we started in 2010, and we were one of the finalist teams. So in the Google Lunar X Prize race, HAKUTO developed a small lander and a rover for lunar exploration with the goal of providing high efficiency, high frequency, low cost transportation services to the moon. The team also launched the lunar data business concept to support the private sector's entry into the lunar market with the goal of becoming a gateway for the private companies to do business on the moon. So I'd like Hitachi-san to explain about the plan. So I mentioned about mission milestones, so I'd like to talk about that. So mission one purpose is to the design and also validation of the technology and also the transportation and providing the information services. So we'd like to verify the business plans. So for the mission one, so from the launch and also to the landing, so we have 10 different stages. So we have 10 different milestones, and also we have the success criteria for each and achieve each one. So that's our goal. And each one, I'd like to brief each of stage. So milestone first one. So this is the completion of the launch preparations. So before this launch, so this is milestone one. So until coming to this point, we have a lot of challenges, and also we learned the findings and also from the testing, and we have the know-how as well. So we had a lot of experiences on that area. So this is one of the biggest milestones that we pursue. And also after the procedure and so this is the first milestone where we finished the preparations. And also this is before the launch, and it's November 28th we completed. So that's what we announced at that time. And also the second one, so this is the completion of the launch and the separation. So from the rocket and the lander has been separated, and also the lander structure itself is like a vibration, tough vibration, that it's should be proof that it's vibration proof, resistant. And also the third one, this is the first operational condition. So the establishment of the steady operation state is the next milestone. So the lander and the ground mission control center, so and also control the communication in the network has been established, and also on the orbit, providing the power, and the lander, there's no problem with the lander main program is something that we check in this milestone. So this third milestone is very important. So not just lander, but also this spacecraft is also actually during this operations. So on the ground, we carefully treated, like let's say it's like a baby in the mother's stomach, and also after the separation, they need to be durable within the space tough situation. So this they need to be independent. So this is quite important step. So maybe you can take that as a critical step. And also the whole. So after 4, we would like to talk about this in the second session. Hitachi-san, thank you very much. So now, so we would like to go back to Fukuoka's public viewing, and if there's any questions, we'd like to answer. So Ueda-san.
福岡市科学館です。
This is
先ほど
Science Museum
打
from
ち上げの様
Fukuoka.
子をみんな
So
と感動
we
で
were
見てお
very
りました。
impressed with
皆
the
さんいかがで
launch.
したでしょう
What
か
do you think
何か
about
感想あり
any
がとうござい
comment,
ます。
everyone?
皆様の中で感想や
So
質
maybe
問があれば
comment or
ぜ
any
ひお聞かせ願いたい
questions,
んですけ
then
ど、
we'd
どな
like
た
to
かい
know.
らっしゃいます
Do you
か
have any comments?
はい。じゃあ、どうぞ。お願いします。
打ち上げおめでとうございます。と
So
っても感動しました。一
congratulations
つお
with
聞
the
きしたいんです
launching.
けど、
One
何度
question.
も質問されてることかと思うんですけ
So
ど、このま
maybe
まマイルストーン
everyone
がう
would
まくいっ
ask this.
て、
So after this
何
good
年後くらいに
milestone,
僕たち一般人は宇宙
and
に
how
月に行けるようになるんでしょうか。
how many years that we can actually go to the moon? Thank you for your question. So to the guest, we'd like to ask that question to Yamazaki-san. So after this mission, So is there anything that towards the future? Yeah, so this HAKUTO-R launch, we want to actually go to the moon, right? So ispace can make a lot of effort. So please take us to the moon. And also in the Artemis plan, so it's in 2025 and 2026. They have the plan to have the people land on the moon. So after the 2025, so there's a goal that Japanese people need to be launched. So I think everyone is making effort towards this. So let's get together to work on this. Thank you very much, Yamazaki-san. So from Fukuoka, thank you very much. So after the lander launch towards the moon, so we are planning to overcome a lot of challenges, and the milestones are very significant, so we are planning to overcome as well. So please stay tuned with our plan. So we'd like to close our session 1. So the second session we would like to have in English, and you can stay in the same channel, and we will restart our streaming from 5:20. Thank you very much, everyone.
お疲れ様でした。ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。ライブアップの皆さん、こちらフロリダの方も、配信というか、ズームを接続切ってもよろしいでしょうか。
Hello and welcome to our post-launch live coverage of Mission 1 in ispace's HAKUTO-R program. My name is Kevin Zaleski and I am the MC for today's event. Thank you very much for joining us today. Many of you might have followed the launch coverage either here with us or on the SpaceX live stream. This stream will follow our Series 1 lander during the first moments of Mission 1 in our HAKUTO-R program. For those of you not familiar with us, ispace is a Japanese lunar exploration company engaging in the lunar quest. Our vision is to expand human activity into space and to develop the future cislunar economy by offering reliable payload delivery and data services. With Mission 1 in progress as we speak, we are also preparing Mission 2, currently planned for 2024, and Mission 3, planned for 2025. We are a team of over 200 members in 3 offices in Japan, Luxembourg, and the United States. Today, we are following the progress of our mission from a venue very close to the HAKUTO-R Mission Control Center in Nihonbashi, Tokyo. Our lander will be controlled from the Mission Control Center, or MCC, during our first mission. Our team is getting ready for separation. As you can see here, everyone is getting ready for the planned separation now. For today's launch, I'm very happy to also welcome 2 members from our ispace team here at our venue. Michael Davey, who helped assemble, integrate, and test our Series 1 lander. Mike, thank you for coming.
Hi, Kevin. Thanks. It's great to be here.
Thank you, Mike. And Yoshitsugu Hitachi-san from our Lander System Engineering Group. Thank you for joining us today, Hitachi-san.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here again.
Thank you, Hitachi-san. So we are now seeing the last moments before our lander is planned to be separated from the launch vehicle. The Falcon 9 rocket carrying our lander proceeds towards the altitude designated for separation. So please stay tuned for the planned separation of our lunar lander.
Welcome back to the webcast for ispace Mission 1. So far, we've had an on-time launch at 2:38 a.m. Eastern Time, followed by successful ascent, stage separation, first stage landing, and a second stage engine burn. Now, during the coast phase, we were expected to have a second relight and shutdown of our second stage, which should be confirmed momentarily here. The next major milestone coming up on today's mission is the deployment of the ispace Series 1 lunar lander from Falcon 9's second stage, which will happen in just about 30 seconds from now. Now, as a reminder, today's launch is a part of the HAKUTO-R program and is the first of 2 missions. Mission 2 is tentatively planned for 2024. Both missions are considered technology demonstrations and will provide feedback for future missions. And we're just a few seconds away from payload deploy. And we might not have ground station coverage during deployment, so we may have to wait for confirmation here.
ispace M1 payload deployment.
Yes, and it appears, as we just saw in SpaceX's live stream, the Series 1 lander appears to have separated from the Falcon 9 rocket. We are waiting for official confirmation from SpaceX and we'll update you with a report and the final confirmation at a later time. In the meantime, Hitachi-san, Mike, wow, I mean, how does it feel to see hardware that you helped to design and put together, and then now finally you see it in space like this? Tell us what you feel.
Well, it's difficult to say in one word. I was very excited, of course, and then I was thinking of all the past days I've been spent with iSpace and all the way that brought us to come to this point. So I'm really glad to see this simulation went successfully. Yes.
Yeah, I feel proud. It's not easy to build a spacecraft, especially one that's being built for the very first time and with such a challenging schedule. So it was really great. I'm thankful that the AIT team, we were able to build it using the skills and technical knowledge that we have and to build it not just to a high level of quality, but also keeping that schedule as well. So we're all really, really proud of that fact. I also really feel lucky to have been part of this project, what could become a very historic mission for iSpace and for Japan and for humanity in general. So yeah, I feel really privileged to be a part of that.
Thank you so much, both. Again, thank you so much, and I think we are all really rooting for our lander now in Earth orbit. So our lander is now planned to perform a series of automated activities, preparing itself to establish a communications link with our Mission Control Center here in Tokyo. The automated activities include the activation of the lander's electronic systems, such as flight computers and navigation systems, but also the deployment of its landing legs. The lander will further activate heating elements to keep its systems within a stable range of temperatures designed to protect itself from the extreme conditions in space. The European Space Agency's S-Track network will then attempt to establish a link with our lander. So that was a very nice sight right now on SpaceX's live stream. It looks like the planned operations seem to be progressing as planned, and we will share definitive updates with you at a later time. So while we wait for the communications link to be established, and this process can take some time, our team patiently awaits the first signal to be received from the lander. In the meantime, let's hear it briefly from our spaceflight operations engineer, Samuel Richards.
Welcome back to the webcast for ispace Mission 1. If you're just joining us, we've had a nominal mission so far, having deployed the ispace Series 1 payload just a few minutes ago. We are now coming up on the final milestone for today's launch, the deployment of Lunar Flashlight. Managed by the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, operated by Georgia Tech, and integrated by Maverick Space Systems, Lunar Flashlight will be finding and mapping water on the moon, which will help enable humans to permanently work and live on the surface of the moon. Using a new green propulsion technology and 4 compact lasers, Lunar Flashlight will peer into permanently shadowed craters and areas of the moon that never see sunlight. Now, deployment of Lunar Flashlight should occur in about 10 seconds or so. And as a reminder, we may not have views of this deployment due to the placement of the payload on our camera and our cameras, but we'll listen in and keep an eye out to see if we can see it drift off in the distance. And in your view there, you can actually see the ispace Series 1 lunar lander off in the distance there.
Lunar flashlight separation confirmed.
We just heard that call out that we did have deployment of the Lunar Flashlight. Again, off in the distance is the Series 1 lunar lander there. Again, we may not see the Lunar Flashlight, but we did hear.
So sorry about that. Once more, let's hear it briefly from our spaceflight operations engineer, Samuel Richards.
And with successful deployment of Lunar Flashlight, that will end our webcast.
So M1 will use the European Space Agency's ground station network called STRAC. We are utilizing 5 of the ground stations in that network in Malawi and Cerberus and Nunosia, Kourou, and also Goonhilly in the UK. We communicate with our spacecraft through these ground stations from here in Tokyo, and we can receive the telemetry from the spacecraft or the data from the spacecraft, and also send the commands to the spacecraft through that channel.
Thank you, Sam. And for further explanations about the communication with our lander, let's hear it from our MCC crew members, Hippo and Angel.
Hello everyone, I'm Hippo. I'm the Mission Design and Operations Group Manager, and this is Angel.
Hi everyone, I am Angel Milagro, and I am Flight Director on iSpace.
So, Angel, can you tell us, after separations of the lander from Falcon 9, where do we expect to get the first signal?
So we are launching from Florida, and after 15 minutes we will have separation on the top of Australia. That's why we are using the Nunosia ground station to connect to our lander. Nunosia ground station is part of the ESA ground station network, and we will use all the deep space network to have continuous communication with our lander. In this case, on the LEOP day, we will use Nunosia on Australia, then we will jump to Cerberus in Madrid, and we will finish with Malawi. This way we will ensure to have a really big contact around 24 hours with our lander, in which we will be able to perform all our LEOP activities.
Oh, and this also works in the lunar orbiting phase and also lunar surface operation phase, right? Once the lander has touched down.
Yeah, exactly. So we are taking advantage of this wide network provided by ESA. So when we are in the moon, we can have 24/7 activities on the lander, and we can have visibility 24/7.
Okay, so but how do you make sure that all this connection is stable? How do you can make sure that we can operate the mission at the MCC here in Japan?
So as part of our preparation activities, we have performed a wide campaign of RF and compatibility tests to be sure that all our systems here in Tokyo and all the ground stations distributed around the world from the ESA network are able to communicate between each other, and also a campaign of RF tests to be able to make sure that all the ground stations and our lander are able to communicate between each other. This way we can be sure that during the D-Day, during our LEOP and during our activities, we can have a stable communication with our lander.
Thank you very much for the explanations, Hippo and Angel. So, Hitachi-san and Mike, these first moments are really important steps, aren't they? Communication is important in space, isn't it?
Yes, indeed, it is very important, and it's one of the very most important milestone. Definitely, without establishing the communication link, we do not know how the status of the lander is, and we also do not know to command to the spacecraft to operate them. So yes, this is indeed very important step in this in the mission. Yes.
Thank you, Hitachi-san. So, of course, all of our milestones are equally important throughout the missions. The communication establishment is the critical step at this stage, and after then, we will continue on towards our final goal of landing, taking one step at a time. Thank you. So, next, let us have a look at our Series 1 lunar lander. And for further details about how our lander came to be, let us hear from my colleague Carlos, who is in charge of the lander's assembly, integration, and testing.
Hi, I'm Carlos Lausen, and I manage the assembly, integration, and testing team here at ispace. I'm now currently in Florida waiting for the launch of our first lunar lander. Our journey with this team, building the flight model of the lander, started 18 months ago in Germany in Lampolshausern together with Ariane Group, when we started integrating all the different thermal hardware, the heaters and thermistors on the different structural panels. After this, we continued together with the people from Ariane Group, installing all of the propulsion hardware, all the different pipes and valves and components. And then we proceeded with installation of all the different avionics components, from the components necessary for conditioning and distributing the power to all the different units, to the data handling units that will be communicating and sharing data between all the different parts of the lander, to the installation and checkout of all the different elements of the guidance, navigation, and control system. We then continued our integration, installing the main propulsion tanks that we have been waiting for, installing them inside of the big bottom monocoque structure. And then we entered into the final integration stage when doing the mating of the main bottom subassembly with a big upper subassembly, which we had to carefully align so that later we could conduct the weld seams properly. After this, the final parts of the integration were the outer dressing of the lander with all the different thermal multi-layer insulation blankets and the body-mounted solar panels that will give power to the lander in its journey to the surface of the moon. Finally, we installed the landing gear that will deploy once that we are in orbit in order to allow for a controlled landing. Once all of this integration was complete, we moved the lander and the team from Lampotzhausen into Ottobrunn or Munich in Germany, where we did all the different environmental tests in order to validate that the lander was constructed in such a way that it could withstand all the harsh environments of space. We started by doing thermal vacuum testing, subjecting the lander to vacuum and to wide temperature fluctuations to verify that it could survive this and that all the different subsystems could still work properly until these extreme environments. We then advanced with the vibration tests and different of these environmental tests. And we successfully validated all the different milestones in order to say confidently that the lander is ready to fly on its way to the moon. Also in Germany, we installed several of the flight payloads. In particular, we installed, together with our customers, the rovers from JAXA and from MDREC that will operate and navigate the surface of the moon. We now arrived to Florida 1 month ago in order to do the final checks on the lander, the final conditioning before mating it to the rocket, and mainly to load all the different, to load the propellant and the oxidizer that it needs in order to conduct all the different orbital maneuvers to go where we want to go, which is the moon. So now we're ready, we're just waiting the final hours before its launch, which will mark a huge milestone, not only for ispace, but to Japan's space environment and to the global space environment, as we would become the first commercial company to land successfully on the moon.
Thank you very much for the explanations, Carlos. And now we have Michael Davey here at the venue, who helped assemble, integrate, and test our Series 1 lander together with Carlos, and he's joining us. Mike, thank you very much for coming.
Oh, it's great to be here, Kevin. Thanks.
So tell us a little bit more about our lander and what's special about it.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that sets our lander apart from others, from many others, is the monocoque structure. We saw in the really nice video there, it means that we have a large volume internally on the lower part of the structure and a high stiffness to mass ratio. Basically, that means that we can carry more fuel, and it gives us a greater payload carrying capacity, which of course brings value to our customers and is a core part of our mission and our business. It makes the spacecraft a little bit more difficult to build, but that's a problem for me, and it just makes my life more interesting. And then another thing which is really nice about the lander is, and the clue is in the name, that it lands. We have sensors which, as we're coming closer to the moon, will measure the proximity and the relative velocity of the moon's surface. We have a ring of, again, shown very well in that video, a ring of 6 assisting thrusters around the central main thruster, which will slow the spacecraft down as it makes its final descent onto the moon's surface. And of course, we have the landing gear legs which deploy and will absorb the last energy as it touches down onto the surface. And all of that is tied together with the onboard software, which is controlling and managing those different parts of the system. And I think that phase, the landing, is going to be perhaps the most exciting part of the mission for me.
Thank you, Mike. And as we heard from Carlos earlier, there was a series of tests that the lander had to go through. What is so special about the environment in space and on the moon?
Sure. So, well, first of all is the launch condition. I've been fortunate during my time supporting the launch campaign in Cape Canaveral to see 4 SpaceX launches. Wow. One of them was very, very close. And it was incredible. I could feel the roar of the engines in my chest and the ground shaking under my feet. It was really, really exciting. That was from about 2 kilometers away. And of course, the lander is strapped onto the top of the rocket, and we've seen there the severe aggressive vibrations that it's exposed to. And so we've done vibration testing. In doing that, we've simulated the launch conditions by physically shaking the lander and making sure that it's able to withstand those launch loads. And once it's in orbit, of course, it's still got a long way to go before it reaches the moon. During that time, it's exposed to the low pressure, the vacuum of the space environment. It's exposed, of course, to the sun's solar radiation, and it's got very extremes of high and low temperatures. Parts of the lander which are in the sun side get very, very hot, and on the other side in the shadow will get extremely cold. Of course, that's not so good for the propulsion systems or the electronic systems of the lander. So we have many parts of the thermal management system which are there to regulate the temperatures and to ensure that everything stays within the acceptable temperatures for those components. So we've performed what we call the thermal vacuum tests, also in Otterbrunn in Germany, to make sure that the thermal management systems are operating as they should be. So we put the lander into a pressure vessel, we reduced that down to a vacuum pressure, and we use liquid nitrogen to cool it down and blast the spacecraft with infrared. That's about as close as we can get to simulating the space environment on Earth. And I'm happy to say that everything went well, and so the spacecraft, of course, was ready for launch.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Thank you for your hard work. And you talked about having seen launches in person. I always wanted to do something like that, see something like that as a kid too. I also built like plastic models of spaceships. So putting together the lander together, is it the same? Do you just glue it together with glue, or?
I mean, yeah. I have to admit, I have a very fun job. It feels sometimes that I'm being paid to put expensive Lego together, which is fun. But of course, there's a bit more to it than that. The AIT team were responsible for making sure that we define the appropriate processes and the methods, and that we have the correct tools so that we can put all of that high-tech and specialist equipment together. And we work with the spacecraft designers and the payload customers to make sure that when planning that all of the requirements of the system are met. Also, when we're building the spacecraft, we have various activities which will involve, for example, the use of overhead cranes or high-pressure fluids, some certain hazardous activities. So it's really, really important that as a team we work well together and we know those processes well, so that at the end we can build a high-quality spacecraft and also ensure the safety of everyone who's involved in those operations. And again, I'm just very happy to say that we've done all of that, and it's over to the ops team to take care of the rest.
Thank you so much, Mike. And as you mentioned, our ops team is now working and preparing the lander for its long journey. We will share updates when they become available. In the meantime, let us give you another quick look at ispace and our Mission 1 in the HAKUTO-R program.
Today, we're opening up new horizons. ispace's vision is to expand human activity beyond Earth and to create a future cislunar economy. We envision a future where thousands of people visit, live, and work on the moon, contributing to the progress of all humankind. As the first step, we developed our own lunar lander technology, the Series 1 lunar lander. Combining flight-proven technologies and in-house development, ispace is offering frequent and reliable payload transportation to lunar orbit and surface, as well as data services to support and accelerate technological demonstrations, science projects, and our customers' next-generation businesses. Among the milestones of our first mission are a successful launch and establishing a communications link with our ground control, followed by a series of maneuvers during the lander's journey to the moon. Our mission success criteria are focused on lunar landing, each of which will verify our individual lander technologies and accumulate value in our knowledge base. After launch, the lander's operations are controlled from our Mission Control Center in Tokyo. The lander will use its thrusters, controlled by Draper's landing software, leveraging experience from the Apollo program to perform a controlled descent and landing on the lunar surface. After safely arriving on the moon, the lander will start the deployment and operations of its payloads, as well as establish a stronger communication link for the transmission of data and telemetry. The planned mission duration will last approximately 10 days. Among others, ispace aims to collect lunar regolith and to transfer ownership of this lunar resource to NASA, jumpstarting space resource utilization. Our first 2 missions will verify our design and technology, and the experience and data from those missions will contribute to the design of the Series 2 lander, which we will provide to the NASA CLIPS program as part of our Mission 3 in 2025, as a member of Team Draper. Our international team consists of members from over 25 countries and has been working tirelessly to get ready for this day. By applying space-proven components for critical systems such as propulsion and avionics, and utilizing in-house developed parts for other systems, we are able to develop and integrate our lander faster and more efficiently. On this first mission, we are carrying the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center Rashid rover from Dubai, the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency's transformable lunar robot, multiple payloads within the Canadian Space Agency's LEAP program, and an experimental solid-state battery by NGK spark plug to the lunar surface.
iSpace continues to overcome new and unique challenges every day, but we are committed to make our vision a reality. The objective of our first mission is to verify our lander technology and design. The work for our subsequent missions has already begun, and the experience from our first mission will enable us to improve our lander design further and overcome obstacles during our second mission in 2024 and third mission in 2025 at an even higher level of competency. This first mission will further validate and strengthen our business, providing reliable lunar transportation and lunar data services. This is the dawn of the lunar economy. Join us in this new chapter of humanity. Let's go to the moon.
So as we saw during this video, iSpace has secured contracts for the collection of lunar regolith and the transfer of that ownership to NASA. Further, as a member of Team Draper, iSpace US will provide the design of our Series 2 lander for our third mission, planned for 2025 to the NASA CLIPS program. NASA Associate Administrator Dr. Thomas Terbuchen recently visited our MCC here in Tokyo and kindly provided a message for us.
Hey, congratulations to the iSpace team for this pioneering mission. It's really the first of a generation of missions that are really akin to the commercial lunar payload services missions in the United States. All of them are commercial in nature, have funders that are non-government, but are really truly public-private partnerships. And we're excited about this mission because of its pioneering spirit, but also because it's the first of a kind. Now, we're excited also because of the fact that this mission will work with NASA to kind of take regolith on board, regolith that we have communicated to the commercial community we want from NASA because we're interested in, frankly, studying those regolith samples as we, in the future, can bring them back, either from this mission or from others. And finally, what we're excited about, of course, is not only this mission as its own, but also the impact this can have in all of Artemis. Because what we see, these commercial deliveries playing a role is, as we think forward and having the first woman on the first person of color on the surface of the moon, together with many more astronauts from an international community. They need deliveries just like we send to the space station, and it's those kind of deliveries that we think this company, as well as others, can provide. And so we're excited about this, and all I want to say, go iSpace.
Thank you very much, Dr. Terbuchen, and we are very excited about the opportunity to contribute towards our shared goals. Next, let us have a look at the long journey to the moon that our lander will take. Our MCC crew will once again offer explanations about our lander's orbit over the coming months.
Hi everyone, I'm Hippo. I'm the Mission Design and Operations Group Manager. And this is Fernando.
Yeah, I'm Fernando. I'm the lead mission analysis and flight dynamics engineer.
So, Fernando, can you tell us how did we get to the moon?
Yeah, so I'm sure that you're wondering like whether we are doing a trajectory like Apollo, a mission like Apollo in which we go directly to the moon. But in our case, we fly something called low energy transfer. And so this is a more efficient way to get into the moon. It takes a bit longer, but thanks to the gravity assistance from the sun, we basically save fuel. So we use less fuel and we can deliver then more payload, more customers to the surface.
So instead of getting directly to the moon, we are sort of like doing a detour. And it takes how long?
Yeah, it takes approximately 3 to 4 months to get into the moon. So we go very far away. We go close to 1.5 million kilometers. That's like 5 or 6 times farther away than the moon is.
So looking at this picture, so essentially the SpaceX rocket, Falcon 9, they will launch us far away from the Earth, and it gets all the way to 1.5 million kilometers away from the Earth, and it comes back after 4 months. Then in the end, it will get close to the moon and do a lunar orbit insertion.
Once we get close to the moon, if we don't do anything, we will just fly past over, right? And because we don't want that, so we will do a first burn, a capture burn, in which we will stay in a very elliptical, very high orbit around the moon. And we'll stay like this for a few days, and we will perform then a successive series of more burns to slowly get in trajectories closer and closer to the surface of the moon. And finally, once we're ready to land, we will do a final descent burn so that we can touch down gently in Atlas crater.
Is there something special in terms of the timing of the landing?
Yeah, so we try to land exactly at local sunrise, so that would be equivalent to early morning here on the moon, so that we have a whole lunar day of surface operations, basically 14 days uninterrupted of sun illumination on the surface of the moon on our landing site.
Okay, well, all of this sounds, conceptually could work very well, but what do we actually do, during this transfer time, 4 months or 5 months of the mission?
As anything in life, there's going to be slight errors, there's imperfections, so we're going to have to be able to detect those and correct for them. So what the team is doing, we use S-Track, our ground stations here on Earth, to tell us how far we are and what's the speed of our spacecraft, and with that we know exactly where we are. And by knowing where we are, we can basically steer slightly our trajectory to get back to our ideal reference trajectory, right? So the team is basically non-stop on a almost daily basis, checking where we are and making sure that we are not getting too far where we should be.
Okay, but I also heard that the moon's gravity is not uniform, it's not like a perfect sphere, so did we take that into account as well?
We basically use the gravity of the moon, so we don't fear it, but we use it in our advantage to help us navigate this lunar part, right? So basically the assistance of the gravity of the moon will save some fuel on our side and will help us gently get into
the target, the destination.
Exactly.
Thank you very much for the explanations, Hippo and Fernando. And the first orbital maneuver is planned to happen in a couple of days. Until then, and throughout the mission, our ground team will continue to monitor our lander and its payloads. As we heard from Fernando earlier, our lander is expected to complete a whole series of maneuvers over the following months before arriving in lunar orbit. It will then get ready for landing on the lunar surface. But how does one choose where to land on the moon? The selection of our landing location candidates has been made with the kind cooperation of our customer, the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center from Dubai, and the Centre de Recherche Pétrographique et Géochimique from France. Let us hear more about the landing site selection from Sofia, our lunar scientist at ispace EU in Luxembourg.
So to introduce a bit more how we choose the landing site Atlas crater, I'm going to bring up Sophia, who is working in ispace EU office in Luxembourg, to talk about the background and how we pick the site.
Hi everyone, my name's Sophia. I'm the lunar exploration scientist here at ispace.
Great to have you here, Sophia.
So we just wanted to understand a bit better, where are we actually going to land on the ispace HAKUTO-R M1 mission?
Yes, so it's a really exciting location that we're headed to. So we're going to a place called Atlas Crater, and the site was selected by our M1 Lunar Site Selection Working Group, which was headed up by Sebastian Els and Dr. Jessica Flauhaut and their collaborators. So the location is Atlas Crater. It's up in the northeastern corner of the Moon on the near side, to the western location of Mare Frigoris, which is the Sea of Cold. So we can see that on the map up here. Really a new opportunity for us to investigate a really interesting and unique crater. So Atlas Crater, it's a large impact crater. It's about 87 kilometers in diameter. It was formed around 3 billion years ago, so it's quite old. It has really sort of unique and interesting structural features. The crater floor has been slightly uplifted and has sort of shallow, hilly terrain, and as you can see, it's really quite highly fractured. And so understanding what the processes that would form there, we think that it may have formed from volcanic processes long ago after the impact basin was formed. The lunar surface is quite tricky to land on, and so there's a lot of considerations that need to go into the selection of a good landing site. So for our lander, we needed to consider potential hazards and where would be a safe location to land. So things like boulders or craters or steep slopes. We needed to choose a site where we were unlikely to encounter these types of features that may pose a hazard both to our lander and to the rover mission as well. 3 backup locations, so Lacus Somniorum, which is the Lake of Dreams, Oceanus Procularum, the Ocean of Storms, as well as Sinus Iridium. So there are considerations, so we need to be visible to the Earth, we need to have good communications, and then also the temperature as well. So we've got that really nice balance of locations that are good for our lander and for the rovers as well to manage the potentially extreme environments that we're likely to encounter on the Moon. Thanks, Hippo, for having this call. I look forward to having another catch-up and presentation as we get closer to the Moon.
Thank you very much, Sophia. And again, a big thank you to everyone who was involved in this process. On HAKUTO-R Mission 1, we are carrying a total of 5 customer payloads on our Series 1 lander. Our first payload is the UAE's Rashid rover as part of the Emirates lunar mission. This rover, provided by the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center, is planned to be deployed on the lunar surface and to carry out a series of scientific experiments. The next payload is the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency's transformable lunar robot, which will also be deployed onto the lunar surface after landing. Then the lander will carry solid-state batteries by NGK Sparkplug to test their operation in the extreme environment of space and the lunar surface. Further, the lander will carry multiple payloads within the Canadian Space Agency's LEAP program, including an AI flight computer by Mission Control Space Services and camera systems by Canadensis. And now next for Mission 1, also in the HAKUTO-R program, ispace has set a number of milestones. Each of these milestones represents a key success on our way to the Moon. Let's have a quick look at each of these success criteria together with Hitachi-san here, our lander system engineering group manager. Hitachi-san, let's go over them. And the first success is the completion of launch preparation. What is this, Hitachi-san?
Yes, so I think some of you may feel it's a bit strange to have this first milestone before launch, even before launch, but it is very also important because we have spent a lot of time on challenging new things, and we've gained a lot of things from this development process as well to come to this point. So that's why we think this preparation, completion of this launch preparation is also one of the very important milestones. So that's why we set this as a first success milestone here.
I see. Thank you, Itachi-san. And the second one is called completion of launch and deployment?
Yes. As you know, our lander it was carried by the Falcon 9 rocket, and this separation is the first. I can say this is the first step of the lander to fly to the moon, separated from the launch vehicle.
I see. And then after that, the third success is the establishment of a steady operation state, which means what exactly?
Yes, so there are three key items here. So first is the establishment of communication link between the lander and the ground station, and the second is the attitude, and the third is the power. Because the lander, when the lander is in the rocket, then before the separation, basically the lander's power was supplied from the batteries that initially charged before launch. But then after the separation, the lander has to start the initial sequence to start turning on the components and etc. to start the attitude control and etc. So that means we are start using the electricity or power from those batteries that initially are charged after the separation. So that means that we have to establish the correct attitude to align the solar panels towards the sun to generate the power by the lander itself before the initially charged battery dies out. So that is why this is also a very important milestone, and this is also a very critical milestone as well.
I see. And the fourth success then takes place several times later, I understand?
Yes, so I believe this milestone will take place in a couple of days after the separation. So this is the first orbit control maneuver. So basically, we do have two types of thrusters, thruster engines. The one is the smaller ones for mainly the attitude control, and then the bigger one is to control the orbit and the trajectory of the lander. So this fourth milestone is basically the very first time that we are going to use this larger engine to initiate the orbit control maneuver. So by doing this, we can see our lander can fully perform this orbit control performance in the space.
Thank you. And then the fifth item takes even more time. It's the completion of stable deep space flight operations.
Yes, this fifth milestone is, as I said, or as you see in the previous video by Hippo and Fernando, because we are taking this low energy transfer orbit. So we're going to up to 1.5 million kilo from the Earth. So that is very far away. So it takes then months and to get that point. So basically, by keep doing this attitude control and also doing these orbit maneuvers and then to maintain the trajectory. So this cruise phase. So by completing this cruise phase, we can say that our lander proves that our lander is fully capable of traveling in the deep space in that way.
Thank you. And then after that, number 6 would be the completion of all deep space maneuvers before lunar orbit insertion. What exactly means that?
So, like I said again, so we fly first to 1.5 million kilo from the Earth, but then we are coming back to the moon, to go to the moon. So this sixth milestone is completion of all those deep space maneuvers before we get to this lunar orbit.
I see. And then success 7 would be finally lunar orbital insertion, correct?
That is correct. So by this seventh milestone, we are now getting into the gravity field of the moon. So by completing this, now the lander is going into this high elliptical orbit of the moon. Then we can establish the stable orbital condition around the moon. So this one is very also important because many of the customers are interested in bringing their payloads to the lunar orbits. So in that sense, by completing this milestone, we can say that our lander can be fully capable of bringing those payloads to the lunar orbit.
I see, thank you so much. And then the next one, number 8, would be the completion of all orbit control maneuvers in lunar orbit?
Yes, so even after we get to the moon's orbit, but we do have several maneuvers, orbit control maneuvers, to bring the spacecraft eventually to the low altitude lunar orbit. So as I said, first we start from the high elliptical orbit, then we gradually start decreasing the altitude to finally get to the low lunar orbit. Which is very the circular orbit around the moon. Yes.
I see. And then for Success 9, I think everyone is very interested in this one, the landing on the lunar surface. Of course, 1 out of 10 success factors, but what exactly does this mean for us?
This is going to be a very historic moment, definitely. So this is going to be will be the first the lunar landing by the private company in Japan. So this is of course definitely it's very, I think, will be the peak of our excitement, of course. But at the same time, to continue our business, this is very important step so that we prove ourselves that we can accomplish this lunar surface landing.
Thank you so much. And then at the end, of course, equally important, establishment of a steady system state, which means what?
So basically, our goal is not just to land on the moon, but after that, we are going to operate our payloads on the lunar surface. So to do so, we have to prove ourselves that we can operate those payloads safely and of course stably on the lunar surface condition, because the lunar surface condition is also very severe, and we have to prove ourselves that we can perform those operations on the lunar surface. So establishment of a steady state system state, and not only the communication on the power, but also for the customer payloads to be operated on the moon.
Thank you so much, Hitachi-san, for your explanations of these 10 success milestones that we have, mission milestones. And then after launch of our Series 1 lander, our crew is preparing themselves, the MCC, the spacecraft, for its long voyage towards the moon. And big steps require meticulous preparation. So let's have a look again at a few key moments from the lander's assembly, integration, testing, and shipping to the launch site. A big thank you to everyone who helped prepare Mission 1, the lander, and as you saw, there's a lot of work involved, so we are very thankful and proud of our entire team. Now, we are waiting to connect with our CEO and founder, Takeshi Hakamada, who witnessed the launch on location. He's currently still on his way to a place where he can connect safely with our video system. This takes a couple of more minutes. Thank you very much for your patience. We will connect with him as soon as he is able to connect with us. Thank you very much for your patience, and we will keep waiting for his connection. Thank you very much for your patience, and let us now connect with ispace CEO and founder Takeshi Hakamada, who just witnessed the launch of our lander in person in Florida. Hakamada-san, good morning to you, and please tell us how it was seeing the launch up close.
はい、皆さん、こちらですね、ケープカナダから、袴が、参加をしております。今回ですね、ispace HAKUTO-R のミッションですね、無事に、打ち上がることができてですね、非常に、嬉しく思っております。間近でですね、スペース X の打ち上げを見てですね、素晴らしい、非常に、美しいですね、打ち上げだったというふうに感じています。ここまでですね、来るために非常に多くのですね、努力を我々ispaceのチームですね、してきました。そして、このですね、努力を多くの人によってですね、周りの方々によって支えられてきております。HAKUTO-R のですね、パートナーの方々、そしてミッション1のですね、我々のお客様の方々、そして株主の方々、我々ispaceのですね、社員を支えていただいている 家族の方々、多くの方々にですね、このミッションを支えていただいて、ようやくこうやって打ち上げてですね、実際に我々の着陸船がですね、宇宙を今航行しています。本当にですね、ここまで来れたというのは素晴らしいことだと思いますし、このミッションはですね、民間で初めて商業的にですね、月のミッションをやる初めてのフライトになっています。このようなですね、世界でもリードをするですね、立場に立てていることを非常に嬉しく思っておりますし、これを成し遂げたiSpaceのチームをですね、非常に誇りに思っています。で今ですね、ようやく打ち上がってですね、切り離しもされています。でこれからがですね、我々iSpaceのですね、ミッションオペレーションのチームが一丸となって、運用をしていきます。これからですね、着陸まで5ヶ月かかりますので、まだこれからもですね、いろんなことが起こるかもしれませんが、我々はですね、事前に設定した10個のですね、マイルストーンに沿ってですね、しっかりと一つ一つ実行していって、そして、その中でですね、いろんなことを我々今回学んでですね、次のミッション2、そしてミッション3にですね、しっかりとフィードバックをして生かしていきたいというふうに思っています。これからですね、5ヶ月航行していきますが、皆さんですね、今後もですね、しっかりと我々の着陸船が着陸するところまでですね、見届けていただければと思います。
Thank you very much, Hakamada-san. And if possible, could you please also give us a quick message in English for our international viewers? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone watching our launch for our first mission to the moon. It was very, very beautiful launch by the SpaceX Falcon 9. And then this is opening a new era for the commercial lunar missions. And I'm very proud of my team, iSpace team, achieved so far. And then I also very I want to thank you to everyone who supported iSpace so far, including our HAKUTO-R partners, customers, shareholders, and then employees, and the family of the employees too. And then from now on, our mission operation team take in charge of our landers operation, and we may face to many of the challenges during our cruise 5 months ahead. However, we're gonna commit to implement each of the important critical steps of the 10 milestones we defined previously. And then whatever happened, we commit to run everything we can run from our missions, and then going to feedback the lesson learned to the mission 2 and the mission 3. And then that is most important for us. Thank you very much for supporting our missions. And we have 5 months to land on the moon. Please keep watch our progress of the mission.
Thank you very much, Hakamada-san. And as our team continues to work to stabilize a connection with our lunar lander and continues to confirm the state of the lander, we will keep you updated. And objects deployed into space cannot be seen directly with our eyes, so establishing a communication is not an easy task. It can be absolutely normal for this process to take several hours, up to a few days even, so there is no reason for concern at this time. Once all systems have been checked out, we expect to enter the next phase of our mission by performing the first orbital maneuver in a couple of days, and we will continue to update you on the official iSpace website and social media. And this concludes today's launch coverage of Mission 1 in the HAKUTO-R program. I want to thank our guests, Hitachi-san and Mike, who joined us on location here today, as well as everyone, of course, who helped to make this day possible, all employees, all families, all partners, customers, suppliers. Thank you all so much. And everyone who joined us for the live stream today, Please don't forget to follow us on social media for future updates about Mission 1 and subsequent missions. While Mission 1 progresses as we speak, don't forget ispace is already preparing the second and third missions planned to launch in just a few years. Thank you, and never quit the lunar quest.
Thank you, everyone.
ありがとうございました。